Powerpuff Girls Z. It exists. Yeah, the show was not well known in America or maybe even the rest of the world. Not even in Japan itself. I've barely seen people talking about it, and in the end, the original Powerpuff Girls is still the most popular iteration in there. It's really hard to find information about the making of this anime, which is a shame because there are some interesting people working on it. It was directed by Megumi Ishiguro, who directed 2 episodes of Fist of the North Star and one of Grave of the Fireflies animator. The writer, Yoshio Urasawa, is credited on Lupin, Ranma, and apparently Sonic X.
Oh, say, can you see?
The characters were designed by Miho Shimogasa, key animator of Sailor Moon and character designer of Cutie Honey F. She is probably the most notable one out of all the people I mentioned because the character designs fucking slap. Without giving away too much, the designs are very reminiscent of the old series for the most part, yet it still had its own charm and identity. None of the new character designs felt too out of place for the anime, despite that the source material is really hard to translate to humanoid designs. The girls themselves are pretty much inspired by magical anime girls. Well, not inspired because they are literally magical anime girls with Powerpuff Girls slapped into it. Not complaining, by the way. You might have seen this cute concept art a while back on Twitter, but did you know that it was actually used in the pilot? Sorry for the absolutely terrible footage, but this is one of the only surviving clips of the pilot shown in Tokyo Anime Festival. It's uncertain why the designs were replaced, though I assume it's because it's harder to animate, and according to the people who watched the pilot, it had more action scenes than the actual series. It was never shown to the public again, and it's still lost media to this day. But enough backstory. Is the anime actually good? Well, people had mixed feelings for it. Some loved it, but others hated it with a passion. I watched several episodes, and by several episodes I mean mostly the one that had my waifu on it, and well, it's really not as bad as people said. Let's just jump into these episodes to illustrate my thoughts further. But before I jump into the Gangreen Gang one, I have to explain several plotlines about Powerpuff Girls Z because unlike the original series, this anime has deepest lore. Professor Utonium and his son Ken, yes, Utonium only has a son in this show, is doing some research about Chemical X. He had absolutely zero progress up until their pet dog accidentally dropped a bun on their chemical solution. Apparently the bun caused the chemical to be even stronger than Chemical X. He called it Chemical Z. Real creative, guys. At the same time, a mysterious iceberg came into Tokyo and caused a drastic change in the weather. Ken immediately thought to use Chemical Z to destroy the iceberg, despite that his father said that it was still in an experimental state. But Ken didn't care and destroyed the iceberg with Chemical Z anyway. The iceberg was destroyed and weather was turning back to normal. However, 2 kinds of lights appeared from the iceberg. There were 4 white lights, 3 of which hit 3 random girls named Momoko, Miyako, and Kaoru. They all turned into magical girls, while the other white light hit Ken and Utonium's dog, turning it into a talking intelligent dog. The black light hit a monkey in the zoo, turning it into Mojo Jojo, and the rest of the black light hit other creatures that will be introduced later in the series. Said girls will later team up as Powerpuff Girls under the guidance of Ken and Utonium, fighting villains, and keep Tokyo safe. That's the lore. In Japanese dub. In the English dub, the main plot remains the same with quote-unquote localization. Some make sense, like the girl's name returned to the original English counterpart. I can see kids getting confused if they're watching a new Powerpuff Girls show and the 3 main girls weren't mentioned at all. Some are kinda xenophobic. Others do not make sense at all, but we'll talk about it later because these weird-ass changes just happens to be in Gangreen Gang episodes. I promise you'll be surprised. Dare I say, never seen it coming. To make it easier, I recap only the Japanese episodes because it's the original vision of the creators. I will make several mentions to the English dub if it's interesting enough, and again, trust me, there are a lot of interesting stuff going on in the English dub. Now let's jump into what Gangreen Gang content Powerpuff Girls Z is willing to offer. Okay, wait, before I continue, I must give some shout out to Azin Zone. He is currently reviewing all Powerpuff Girls Z episodes weekly, and he has a wide knowledge of magical girls anime, so if you're curious of non-Gangreen Gang Powerpuff Girls Z episodes, please check out his channel, link in description. Since the pilot in its entirety is nowhere to be found, the earliest Gangreen Gang appearance I could find is this concept art. What in the red line JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Team Rocket is going on here? I always appreciate different creative interpretation of Powerpuff Girls characters, however, I'm so glad they didn't use this one. Ace in the sleek Grease or Japanese Linquin's hairstyle is not a bad idea at all. It looks good on Murdoch, so it would definitely look good on Ace. This hairstyle, however, is less Linquin's and more of a banana shape. Snake looks even more like a bug. Why did Big Billy looks like he just drank kelp shake? Lil Arturo looks like a low-rendered Sims 3 bush. And why is Grubber balding at 15? This picture is from Powerpuff Girls' soundtrack, by the way, and there are plenty more of concept art from there, including the Powerpuff Girl one I've shown earlier. I think the most interesting concept art is Mojo Jojo because apparently he used to be a boy that was controlled by a monkey.
An anime boy.
Before covering the episode, this time I wanted to talk about the character designs first because these are such big changes and it would have been awkward to just ignore it until I recap the entire episode. First, of course, Ace. Honestly, he didn't really change much from the show, outside of his top clothing. He still has the same hairstyle, shades, and his pants, albeit ripped in the bottom. Big Billy's Cyclops eye is shown instead of hidden. I really appreciate that they actually remember that Big Billy only had one eye, so it's a plus. They also kinda have a softer look overall, less grungier than in the original show. Same goes to Grubber. Lil Arturo's eyes looks like Naruto's characters, and for some reason, she's a girl. I don't get why they would gender bend Lil Arturo, but it's not something that personally bothers me much. Arturo says trans rights. Last one, and might be least for some people, Snake, or Ivy in the English dub. He's a boy in the Japanese dub, but for some reason, she's a girl in the English dub. And yeah, he changed a lot. It's understandable that many people are put off with his new design. Personally, I liked it fine. Sure, the original Snake still looks much better, but I still think his Powerpuff Girls Z design is quite an interesting spin. Also, his sailor-themed clothing is kinda adorable because of how consistent it is. In the Momoko end credit, we see all the villains in formal wears, and Snake is wearing a pirate suit. Isn't that adorable? Also, it's not just Snake that looks really cute and cool. Ace in a white suit holding a wine glass. Amoeba boys stacking up like they're 10-year-old trying to sneak into PG-13 movies. Sedusa's big mommy milkers. Oh my god, this picture alone is better than the entirety of Powerpuff Girls 2016. That's all I have to say about their new designs. It's quite a welcome change now. Let's get into the actual episode for real now.
ファッションじゃねえ。俺はこういうモンスターになったんだ。
Gangreen Gang is introduced once again in the episode appropriately titled Attack of the Gangreen Gang. So Momoko, Miyako, and Kaoru, along with the professor and Ken, ate together in a fancy restaurant, but suddenly, some gang consisted of green teenagers barged into there. Momoko thought that they were suspicious, but Professor said, "Just eat your meal, you fucking judgmental piece of shit." So she did. Said delinquent, sat down, and ordered some meal.
はい、この本日のおすすめコースを5人前だ。
I would like to give you 5 minutes to guess who voiced Ace in this Japanese dub. Starting now. Okay, never mind, I'm just gonna tell you. Powerpuff Girls Ace shared the same Japanese voice actor as Kermit the Frog. Oh, and Tohuro Adachi from the critically acclaimed Smash Bros. Spin-off Persona 4 Golden Royal Fast featuring Dante Basco from the Devil May Cry series. And Knuckles. Yes, that Tohuro Adachi, the beloved Cabbage Man himself. More specifically, his name is Mitsuaki Madono. That Kermit the Frog bit is real, by the way, that is not a joke.
文在博士、
なんだね。
借金が返せるだけのお金を1回のショーで稼ぐ方法はない？
計算しよう。ビーカー、例のウィンドウオペレーティングシステムを立ち上げて。
He also voiced characters from various anime, but because I don't watch much anime outside of Evangelion, I'm just gonna mention several of his dubbing roles, which are Cosmo from The Fairly Odd Parents, pirate version of Cucumber Guy from VeggieTales, Crane from Kung Fu Panda, Minion from Megamind, this white man who probably could be Tumblr Sexy Man from Rio, and Isaac from Castlevania. I thought that he also voiced Ace in the Japanese dub of the original series. Yes, it exists, because they both sound really, really similar. Take a listen.
どうだ？面白いだろ。
ああ、最高っす。いっす
なあなあ、エース、もっとかけちゃおうぜ。
そうっす、そうっす。かけまくろうぜ。いっす
よし、ほんじゃ、お次はと。
But it's apparently some other guy named Shintaro Soonoka, who apparently also voiced him. I'm disappointed, but whatever. Even though their characters barely share any similarities, that doesn't stop me from making up a deranged fanfiction about it, and you all will hear it against your will. My personal headcanon is that Ace and Adachi are actually the same person. Ace is Adachi in the past, causing relatively minor crime in this world while pretending to be a monster, but he failed. Every time he tried to be relevant, a bunch of magical middle schoolers beat the shit out of him. Humiliated by this, he ghosted the rest of the Gangreen Gang and, spoiler for Persona 4 and Persona 4 Golden, proceed with caution, tried to start a new life. He focused his mind on studying, went to school, went to college, and eventually got a job in Inaba Police Station as an assistant detective. Absolutely nothing happens in there. Deep inside his heart, he longs a more exciting life to relieve all his boredom and stress. Just like the good old days, except no middle school kids would attack him now. That's it! Through absolute dumb luck, he gained the power of going inside a TV and decided to have a little fun, by pushing someone inside. True victims, and Inaba is already in a state of chaos. He finally has the relevancy that he has been looking for all his life, just according to Keikaku. His celebration won't last long, however, because now it's magical high schooler time to beat the shit out of him. God damn it. Anyway, let's move on to the English voice actors because the hilarious coincidences train did not stop there. Surprisingly, this show shared a lot of voice actors as this tiny, weeny, obscure indie little cartoon show called My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. The entire Gangreen Gang cast alone had both recurring and major role on that show. The voice actor of Ace, Andrew Francis, also voiced Shining Armor, which is Twilight Sparkle's brother. Ivy's voice actress also voiced none other than Rarity and Princess Celestia. Marique Hendrickse, Lil Arturo's voice actress, voiced some owl, Sonata Das from Equestria Girls, and the hot dog bun on Sausage Party that resemble of Big Billy's voice actor, Richard Ian Cox, voiced Snails and other characters, and last but not least, Grubber's voice actor voiced none other than Applejack's brother Big Macintosh. It's not even limited to Gangreen Gang's voice actors either, but if I had to list every single voice actors that appeared on both shows, we'll be here all day. I swear to God, finding this cursed information is like that scene from Incredibles where Mr. Incredible found out that his friends were killed by Syndrome. From what I've read on Wikipedia, both had different voice acting company. Powerpuff Girls Z is from Ocean Productions while MLP is from Voicebox Productions. However, both are based on Vancouver, Canada, so maybe that explains why so many voice actors of Powerpuff Girls Z jumped ship into MLP. Okay, enough voice acting. Back to the episode. As usual, the gang is petty as hell and Ace put a cockroach toy out of his tanky armpit on his meal order so that he and his gang can get free food. Somehow the host was convinced that it was a real cockroach, and when Gangreen Gang was about to be refunded by free food, the girls intervened and they got kicked out of the restaurant. Gangreen Gang threatened to trash the place itself, so the girls used the power of anime magical transformation to fight them all. So they fought outside of the restaurant and surprise, surprise, Gangreen Gang lost.
A loser.
It's interesting that they actually gave them powers instead of being regular teenager delinquents like in the original. I mean, even with superpowers, they still lost, but it's still an interesting choice indeed. Grover's power is shapeshifting. Looks like they kinda took note from the original series. Big Billy got super strength, which is actually his power from the OG show. Lil Arturo's power is super speed, same as in Power Lunch. Ace's power is throwing Ace branded Ace cards. Don't get me wrong, these cards are adorable and I would love to own them, but what do you think this would do to the Powerpuff Girls Ace? The weirdest choice of all is, as always, Snake. His power is a hypnotizing massage for some reason.
足のツボツボツボツボ。あら、気持ちいいですわ。イエス、ミーにマッサージされると気持ちよくて身動き一つできなくなるっす。
Yeah, I think I'm starting to understand why they changed Snake into a girl in the English dub. So anyway, after Gangreen Gang lost, they were brought to the lab to extract black lights out of them.
ダメだ。戻らないね。
マジ？どうしましょう。地球の果てまで吹っ飛ばすか？
いや、彼らはもともと人間のようだし。
You heard that right. Gangreen Gang is actually doing a green face all along. They're actually humans that somehow get powers or might be even born with it in the first place. They never addressed it in the show and the continuity got so much looser later on, so just deal with it. So the Powerpuff Girls escorted them to their home, and by home I mean in the middle of nowhere in the dark of the night. This scene actually plays out slightly different in the English dub.
これはパワパフのお姉さん、先ほどはどうも。
お前ら、今度悪さしたらただじゃおかないからな。
What are you guys staring at? Never seen people getting their beauty rest before?
Well, I just hope you were dreaming about behaving yourselves for a change.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the dub sometimes was sillier than the sub version as expected from dub in this era, but in other times, the sub version is way more ridiculous. You'll see later on. After Powerpuff Girls dumped them, they went to their home. You might expect that they live in a dump like in the original show, but yet again, the show subverted my expectations.
昨日はどこほっつき歩いてたんだ。うるせえな、関係ねえだろ。
お前の教育がなってないから、こいつはこんなダメな男になっちまったじゃないか。
なんでも私のせいにしないでください。
Yep, this is exactly what you think it is. Ace has parents. All of them do. And all of them are also pretty damn privileged. Look at how nice Snake's house is. They are basically the Grimes of Powerpuff Girls Z villains now. To be honest, this change is so ridiculous that I loved it. I don't think it really ruins the entire point of Gangreen Gang anyway, and the irony is pretty damn funny. Even though they have nice houses, they still prefer to hang out in this abandoned building because they are just that obsessed with #monster life, I guess. We truly live in a society. They decided to seek revenge for the girls because they humiliated them. They chose to attack Buttercup first because fighting 3 girls at the same time is too hard for them. Also, Buttercup is green, so they hate her.
グリーンのくせに正義のヒロインだとか言われてチヤホヤされやがって。
They planned some pranks for her at the soccer match that she attended, but it all failed because their plans are absolute shit. Yet again, what do you expect from throwing cards, Ace? The last one, however, kinda worked. Kinda.
What the hell is going on here?
Snake tried to put Buttercup into trance, but his massage power did not work because Buttercup has too much muscle, I suppose. Wait, no, not like that. She ended the episode by beating the shit out of Gangreen Gang, and the boys also seek revenge for Buttercup. Overall, it's a pretty darn great debut episode. It laid out the basic premise of Gangreen Gang really clearly, and we know the basic of these characters very well. Not as clever as the original show, but hey, as it sounds, it's still pretty darn good. The voice actors, you already know the name, did a great job. At first, I preferred the English dub, but once I knew that Adachi voiced Ace, I just can't help but love Ace Dachi more. For the most part, the characterization of the gang still remains the same. Ace is still the sneaky little bastard like in the old show. Snake is Ace's yes man. Rubber voice change, but he still acts the same. Little Artura wasn't as chaotic as she could have been, but sadly, Big Billy's childlike attitude is just gone. He's much smarter than in the original show. Such a sad change. I don't think his old personality would have clashed with this show. Funny how the second episode for Gangreen Gang in the show also has villains teaming up together. Well, this time they're working together to beat Powerpuff Girls and not, Gangreen Gang themselves. The episode starts with Gangreen Gang eating at a local merchant. Doing the usual teenagers hanging out stuff.
I'm fucking gamed out. I've had enough of playing games. Fucking hell.
Yep, your eyes are correct. He is indeed drinking. In this PG Cartoon Network show. They're still under 21, mind you. Also, in case you might think this is cop-out drinking, I have some news for you.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Next episode better have Ace hanging out with big titties prostitutes, I'm telling you. And what a surprise, the dub censored everything.
You look a bit green, Ace! Oh yeah? Of course that's how I look!
Boo!
Underage drinking aside, suddenly Mojo Jojo and Fuzzy Lumpkins came there being mopey and sad because Powerpuff Girls beat them without any effort at all, and they all exchange stories about it. And also drink a lot. Turns out that being drunk and vent with each other made them feel much better. So much better that they accidentally paid for the whole meal. This scene, however, was changed in the dub for some reason. In the dub, they enjoyed their time with each other without alcohol so much that once they left, they didn't want to face the reality of getting their ass beaten by the girls in the next day.
Mojo does not want to go back to his old life anymore! It's too humiliating. We can't go back to the way things were.
I guess it made more sense narratively, but I don't know. I kinda enjoy alcoholism more. It fits into my lifestyle. Mojo suggested that they should join hands, in which they took literally.
No touchy.
But they agreed after Mojo explained his plans.
いいかみんな合わせれば7人7人いればいくらパワーパフ Z でも倒せるモジョここは手を組むだモジョおおその手を組むかなるほどな
I mean, Gangreen Gang has 5 members yet they still lost, so I don't really know how Mojo's thought process worked, but yay, plot progression. The next day, Powerpuff Girls got notice of villains attacking the town, but they're just not in the mood to attack them because they're such a nuisance in their eyes nowadays. Even when they saw the villains teaming up, they underestimated them, which leads to their downfall.
Power bottom.
And it feels like I'm falling
Finally, after all these years, Powerpuff Girls has been defeated and Gangreen Gang, Mojo, and Fuzzy celebrated by having a nice garden party and also trapping the citizens of Tokyo. However, now that their goal was achieved, a new conflict arose.
リーダーって言えばエースに決まってるっす。
もじょ？
そうさな。俺は根っからのリーダー体質。
Yeah, I have mixed feelings of how Mojo changed from the ultimate authoritarian to submissive and breathable. Oh my god, that is the worst thing I have ever said, but I just don't think Ace would be this much of a Giga Chad, you know? Feels like the original Mojo would have beat the shit out of him easily if he ever claimed to be the leader of the group. Somehow, the girls were still breathing on the moon and they learned the power of friendship and regained the determination to save Tokyo. On the other hand, because of their inflated ego, the villains became uncoordinated and they lost to the girls, and with the help of Bubbles, it's their turn to be trapped in the moon.
I wanna go to the moon. Don't leave so soon.
お前がリーダーなんてありえねえ!
That's the end of the episode and it's still a fun watch. My favorite part is obviously all the alcohol consumption. I do have an issue with Mojo being portrayed as even weaker than Ace, despite that he was definitely one of the most powerful villains in the OG show in spite of his humorous attitude. Gangreen Gang was quite fun though. I like seeing drunk Ace, he's so darn cute. Admittedly not as strong of an episode as their debut, but it's fine. Also, the animation quality is kinda worse than their debut episode. Some action scenes looks quite floaty, but on the bright side, we have a fuck ton of Ace reaction pics. Feel free to use them, they're glorious. This is it. The final Gangreen Gang episode and also the final for the entire show. It's a 3-parter episode and surprisingly, Ace appeared in all those episodes, so that's neat. Mojo was invited to the supposed celebrity party in a fancy apartment and he dressed up all nice and excited to become the top luxurious 1%.
寿司パーティーにはどんなセレブな人たちが来てるもじょ？
Let's ride.
Me when I see random irrelevant TikTokers on Met Gala. But yeah, apparently the host invited Tokyo's villains and at first Mojo was disappointed but ate the sushi anyway. Cue the most infuriating scene in the dubbed version.
Hold on, are you new here?
I'm Bobby Green, who are you?
Bobby Green. Bobby Green. Bobby Green?
Who is she? Who is she? Who is she? Where did you find her?
Changing names of a Japanese character in older anime dub geared towards children isn't unheard of. The most famous example is for kids, where they went out of their way to censor every single non-American food.
Nothing beats a jelly-filled donut.
Sometimes, even the entire show had to be renamed, like what happened with Tokyo Mew Mew. It was renamed to Mew Mew Power and the entire cast had to be renamed as well because kids cannot know Japanese, I guess.
The Japanese?
Obviously, this is a xenophobic act and I'm glad that this is no longer practiced as far as I know, but let's analyze the case for Powerpuff Girls Z for a second. Ace to Bobby Green. Do you know who gave Ace his name? Craig McCracken, an American man. Ace is also an English word, so basically, they are Americanizing an American name. What? I can't wait for Ivy to be renamed, I don't know, Florida Cheeseburger or something. Oh, and maybe Big Billy can be Big Guy because Billy is not stereotypically American enough. Except that the Big Billy part isn't a joke, they actually renamed him to Big Guy.
I know who you are now. You are Big Boy. Nope, that's me.
No.
I was so insulted by this accidentally anti-American change that I didn't even talk about this whole fucking frame. But at the same time, there's no words for this. It just speaks for itself.
We are going to pretend
We didn't see that.
Suddenly, the host of this party entered the room and introduced himself. Yeah, that's him. I'm not a huge fan of this design either, I'm so sorry. Questionable design aside, him invited all these villains to make them be able to defeat Powerpuff Girls. One catch is that they all have to give up their blacklight to him. But I thought Gangreen Gang doesn't have any blacklight because they are just pretending to be monsters. But now they have blacklight? They really just forgot their debut episode, huh? Him then told all of them to wear his tights to make them stronger. This is not a joke, this was in the episode.
Look at them legs, they're amazing!
Also, I like the implication that Ace doesn't wear any pants. Just him's tights. Now that's a true dedication to be evil. So him lets them out to the wild and they cause a ruckus in Tokyo, so Powerpuff Girls had to come. The girls noticed that the monster were stronger than before, even though the action scenes doesn't exactly show that. Just seems like a regular fight scenes to me, except this time they successfully kidnapped the dog. They still failed to capture the girls in the end though. Him was quite disappointed with this, but he had an amazing, foolproof idea. Cue one of the absolute weirdest scene in the entire anime.
もう一度言うわ。あなたたちは私のタイツを身につけただけでパーパフガールズ Z に勝てたのよ。さあ、言って。
俺たちは彼のタイツを身につけただけでパーパフガールズ Z に勝てた。
Yo, it's not funny. It's really not funny.
In case you're wondering, yes, the dub changed this line because they hate fun.
Our old friend him will help all of us take over the world if we just do exactly what he says.
That's so upsetting.
Him hypnotized all of them to go to the jacuzzi. Don't ask why I'm not the writer. Except for Mojo because him told Mojo to take care of the dog instead. What a surprise! Mojo failed because we cannot show Mojo to be competent in the show. Now let's get back to what the boys are doing in their jacuzzi. Apparently this jacuzzi made the black light stronger somehow, to the point that it's visible to the naked human eye. Professor saw this and because of its immense power, Professor concluded that the only way to stop him is to seal him again using his mecha robots. This is explained on other episode, but you see, the reason why black light and white light exist is because of him. Remember the iceberg that suddenly appeared in Tokyo? That iceberg contained him, and by shooting it with chemical Z, Ken also accidentally freed him. The mechanics of how these mechas can beat him is explained in the next episode. Professor revealed that by going to the past using these mechas, him can be sealed. But at the same time, sealing him will change history. Sure, black light will be gone, but so will the white light, and Powerpuff Girls will not exist. But who cares about that? Let's go back to Ace again. Unfortunately, he only appeared in such a small role while the rest of the villains fight the girls in the past. I understand why him wouldn't allow Gangreen Gang to fight the girls, but at the same time, let me see my husband trying to be badass, please. Basically, the white light scattered into 3 different eras. The prehistoric era, Egyptian era, and Da Vinci era.
Da Vinci?
Him sent 3 villains into those eras, which in order were Fuzzy Lumpkins, Rowdy Rough Boys, and Mojo Jojo. Yeah, Rowdy Rough Boys suddenly appeared in this episode. I guess it's because they're too iconic to not be included in the series finale. I'm not the biggest fan of them, I'm more of a Gangreen Gang connoisseur myself, but I'll allow it, whatever. These villains were defeated, and him was very disappointed, but he also stated that his powers can be even stronger if they all give him their black light. So they did. And it turns out that him was just using the black lights for himself and isn't planning to make them stronger. Truly, the greatest girl boss manipulator. Those black lights are powerful enough to create various climate disaster, and it's up to the professor and the girls to fix this. Will they be able to fix this mayhem? Find out in the next episode! Oh yeah, there's one more notable thing in this episode, which is when the black light made the robot glitch and the girls were transported into another reality.
一体どうなっちまったんだ？ここどこですの？違う世界に来ちゃったみたいですね。
Such a cute homage to the original show. A certain show could never. Finally, we have arrived on episode 52, the final episode of the show. No Gangreen Gang until the end though, so I'll try to keep it short. Apparently, sealing him will require using the white lights from the girls and the dog as well, not just the lights from the past. There's a bunch of crying montage and some brutal dog white light extracting.
God! It's brutal out here.
Him is doing his chaos dance, the girls got extracted, him was defeated. It's bittersweet because sacrifices have to be made, but the most important thing is that the day is safe thanks to the Powerpuff Girls. And that's the end of the show. Just kidding, prank! The girl actually still got their power and so does Doug. Professor concluded that there just might be something that cannot be explained by science. I know what that is. It's that we need to promise the audience for the possibility of season 2. The villains woke up and it's something.
Absolutely disturbing.
Honestly, the short fight is my favorite Gangreen Gang scene in the entire series. It really reminds me of Gangreen Gang in the 1998 show, specifically this picture from the episode Pot and Scold. The vibes are all there and I wish we see more of it in Powerpuff Girls Z. After that, the girls narrated what happened after him was defeated. They're still saving the world and the most disturbing of all, Mojo had him's corpse. What do I even have to say? There's also a nice AMV in the end that adds some more emotional value in this episode. At least in the Japanese dub because yes, of course, the English dub censored any Japanese song or references, of course.
Baby New Townsville isn't special. Are you kidding? What about the sushi monsters and that disco guy and Sedusa and Princess Morbucks and Fuzzy Lumpkins and the Amoeba Boys and the Gangreen Gang?
That's all for Gangreen Gang major appearances in the whole show. They had a minor appearance in episode 35, an episode in which the mayor got possessed by a ghost that was very protective of monsters and would execute anyone that even dared to touch them. Apparently, this ghost is actually a real person named Tokugawa Tsunayoshi, the 5th shogun of Japan, also known as the Dog Shogun because he made a lot of laws related to dog protection. Not just dogs apparently, but also other animals, abandoned children, and sick travelers. Unfortunately, after his dog laws were implemented, Edo was filled with diseased stray dogs so much that the town apparently stinks. So overall, he had good intention, but due to poor sanitation, this is the 17th century after all, the execution isn't exactly perfect. However, in the show, he was portrayed as a villain for some reason. Like, he was this irredeemable monster or something. What did he even do to justify this portrayal? Fucking Utonium said that people from that era couldn't stand him, despite that he was cited to lead one of the most peaceful period in Japanese history. But to be fair, I am not educated in Japanese history outside of the brief time where they enslaved my country, so it could be Milkshake Duck all over again. Wait, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Gangreen Gang appeared briefly in that episode as the monster trashing the city. It's not really much. Also, they lived in the sewer now.
Roaches!
I haven't found any commercial featuring Gangreen Gang, but this commercial exists for some reason.
I think I'm calling the cops.
They also appeared in all openings and ending of the show. My favorite is definitely the second opening. The cinematography is just unmatched. It's the Gangreen Gang world, and we are just living in it. Miyako's ending was cute too. Basically, it's the girls and the villains having a picnic together. Of course, it's adorable. There's also a manga series, and as far as I know, Gangreen Gang did not appear, so it's worthless. Do not read. So that's Powerpuff Girls Z. It's definitely a flawed show. There are some questionable continuity in the last episode, but the crew definitely put their best effort into the show despite of their limited budget. I love seeing new interpretations of the characters from the old show. I want to give some shout out to Sedusa because god, I love her so much in Powerpuff Girls Z. Basically, in this show, she was a regular girl who tends a ramen shop that got hit by a black light combined with makeup and turned into, well, Sedusa. The girl doesn't remember anything that happened when she transformed into Sedusa, so it creates some interesting conflict afterwards. Sedusa's design also fucking slaps. It's honestly my favorite character design from the whole show. Also tits.
This is better than cow tipping.
Come to think of it, the premise of her character is kinda similar to that one Paranoia Agent episode, except with less non-kid friendly elements. As for Gangreen Gang, I think the show did them a fair amount of justice. I think there could have been more episodes where they're the only villain though. As much as I love villains teaming up together, I still want to see other Gangreen Gang members being fleshed out since the team-up episodes mostly focus on Ace. As a result, Ace was really great, but the others are just there. Their personalities still shine in episode 14, but afterwards it diluted down, especially in episode 50. But overall, they did quite a decent job on them. If I had to rank their episodes, here we go. And speaking of ranking, where does Ace from Powerpuff Girls Z belong on my Ace ranking? I'm happy to say that he's actually my third favorite Ace out of all Ace adaptations. He's just so goofy, yet tried to be edgy, loves vandalizing the town, and maybe destroying Powerpuff Girls as a side hobby, just like the old show. Changes on his characters, like him having parents, didn't really bother me much. His design is really adorable and carried the same spirit as the original show. Nothing to hate here. Also, Ace is drunk in like 2/3 of his appearances, so that's a plus. Last but not least, should you watch Powerpuff Girls Z? It depends on you honestly. If you don't like cliched magical girls anime, you will not find any enjoyment out of this. It's very cliche, every trope you see on magical girls anime, you'll see here. Personally, I don't mind these cliches, so I quite enjoyed it. Even though the output could be better, I still appreciate that the crew tried something new and different from the source material. It makes the viewing experience much more engaging, you know. I'd rather see some unique experimentation than just copy every single thing from the old show but make it worse. Yes, I'm looking at you. Shaolin Chronicles. And that concludes our Ace Files analysis for today. Thank you all for the support on the last video. I'm just so happy that people out there is willing to put up with my unhinged husbando analysis. Powerpuff Girls Z is such a joy to watch, and I hope next media that we'll cover is gonna be as fun as this one.